today's fertility rite, tomorrow's physiotherapy.
John, may I introduce Miss Evelyn McLean, Hamlin Gint, John Anders, pioneer neurosurgeon extraordinaire. Hamlin used to be a pupil of mine, John, and showed just as much promise as you. Scotch.
John.
Quiet, everyone. Thank you. I won't take very long. Thank you. Quiet, please. I'm sure you agree that in Porter's Green's long and, yes, heroic tradition of surgery, the genius of our present team has covered...
Genius.
Someone disagree?
That's just about it to you, isn't it? Heroic geniuses.
Oh, John, please.
Well, we're not, any of us. We're just a cheap mob of glory-hunting hypocrites.
Anders!
Well, let's have the truth for once, shall we? About the almighty surgeon, the butcher in a hero's halo, his secrets and his mistakes, the death row behind the news, the hastily buried failures. These are his guilt, our guilt, but strictly not for publication.
You're drunk, Mr. Anders. Go home.
All right. But first, I'll give you a toast. To the real hero, the poor, suffering patient. Heaven save him.
Sorry.
John. John.
Extraordinary.
Do you think you ought to go to him?
No, best leave them alone.
Yes, I'll go and see him later. Come on, Ham, and John would like to see you.
Some other time, Professor Marks. Tonight you're the father figure.
Oh, go on, Ham, just for 5 minutes.
Hey, well, I don't.
Well, there's a charming fellow.
Come on, let's go in. John? John? Where is he? John!
Marksy?
He's dead. Hamlin, John's dead.
Died about an hour ago. Drugs?
Not John.
Well, the way he's lying, possible convulsions.
Yes, it looks like it.
Crystalline, Marksy. White, could be sugar. His behavior at the party, did he ever let go like that before?
Oh, never. He showed signs of depression, but...
Marks,
What's going on? For goodness sake. Stupid fool. I warned him.
About what?
Drinking in his condition.
What do you mean?
You surely knew he was diabetic. Not as the forearm, 2 needle punctures. Insulin. The man was drunk, confused, took 2 doses, hypoglycemia. Right, Marks? Familiar enough picture at inquest. Phone the coroner's office yet? No.
Mr. Hornsey, it could be this is a police matter.
Nonsense.
A man was here. He came bursting out of the street door past us.
He ran away when I called him.
You been here? In this flat?
Yes, the door was wide open.
Evidence, Gint. Evidence of foul play. That's what English law requires for a police investigation.
Mr. Hornsey, just because there is no bullet holes, there's no reason to...
Reason? Clumping great CID men, flocks of crime reporters, all for a pathetic accident?
Hornsey, must I remind you?
All right. So, you're suspicious because some chap pushed past you without the usual courtesies. Fair enough. If you and your Mr. Strange want to do a spot of sleuthing, that's all right by me. But for now, thank you. Might as well arrange for him to get it round to Porter's Green for the autopsy, hmm?
That's out of the question.
Why? Best surely to keep a thing like this in the family, so to speak.
Look here, man, I'm the pathologist here. You know I can't agree to do it.
Hello? Coroner's office.
Reporting a death.
Yes, Michael Hornsey here.
I'll fetch the time.
Thank you.
Why you should want to quit live medicine for Egyptian mummies is more than I can understand.
Peggy?
Hey, Peggy who?
Gail. Staff Nurse Gail.
Staff Nurse Gale, Neurosurgical Unit. My office. Immediately, please.
Thank you, and if you've got a vacant office anywhere...
Use this one.
Oh.
I'll be operating, then in committee most of the day. Miss Blake, my secretary, if you want anything, call on her.
Well, it's very kind of you.
Come in.
Am I interrupting?
No, come on, Ham, come in.
Yes. Well, if you'll excuse me.
Just...
I've got my rounds.
Just one thing, Mr. Hornsey. Why did you go and see John Anders last night?
Any man who works as hard as he did, particularly if he's diabetic, shouldn't drink to excess.
You were concerned for him as a patient?
No. As a member of our surgical team.
Nothing else.
I'm sorry.
Well, I gather he was pretty insulting at the party last night.
You didn't know Anders, I take it?
Only by repute.
Through the press, who idolized him, and deservedly. A most talented surgeon.
And outside of the hospital?
A sneering egotist, Mr. Gint.
Not popular in committee.
Not popular anywhere. And not in this hospital.
That's one reason why I gave up living medicine. Anyway, here's the solution from the syringe.
And?
Well, our friend Hornsey was a step ahead of us.
Insulin?
Insulin.
Yes?
Staff Nurse Gail is here, sir.
All right, thank you. Send her in, will you, please?
Nurse Gale? I'm Ham Gint. This is Adam Strange.
Hello, nurse. Come and sit down.
Yeah. You're a friend of John Anders, aren't you? Well, last night at the party, you seemed perfectly open about it. In fact, what he said, the way he acted, you were very upset. So much so that you ran out in tears after him.
What happened then, Miss Gale? You were with him.
Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe you weren't upset.
Of course I was upset. It was terrible.
Especially for you as a friend.
Friend. We were going to be married.
Were?
Well, isn't this why you're here? Asking me all this? Isn't he dead?
Why should John Anders be dead?
Why should he go on living? Fatal condition like that.
Like what?
Oh, Haven't you seen the x-rays in his office desk? The radiologist's report? Tumour in the brain. Secondary deposits in the bones. Mr. Strange, John was already dead.
Come on. Come on. Miss Blake, do you think someone could relieve Nurse Gale of her duties just for a while?
Yes, no, it's all right.
Prince?
Prince.
Well done.
It'll take some time, though.
That makes me the errand boy, doesn't it?
Hmm?
Someone had better get round to Anders' flat.
Well, that's sweet of you to offer.
That's me, sweet.
Hi, Professor.
Just finished.
Insulin poisoning?
It looks like it. Needs a biological test to check it out.
Nothing else.
What else do you expect?
Well, brain tumor, secondaries in the bone.
Brain tumors?
Not his regular secretary, Mr. Strange, no. I'm in charge of the surgical unit as a whole. However, I have been looking after Mr. Anders since his last girl walked out 2 weeks ago.
Pretty fast turnover in the secretaries, I gather.
4 months is the longest I've known him to keep one.
That is fast.
Not the easiest of men.
Nor the most popular, I understand.
The surgeon's success depends upon his hands, not his smile. I believe they made the same excuse for Paganini.
But Paganini was a virtuoso, while Mr. Anders was part of a team.
Is, Mr. Strange, is.
Mr. Anders died last night.
How? How did it happen?
Suspected overdose of insulin. This his room in here?
An accident. You know he was a diabetic.
So I've been told.
What do you want?
This, Miss Collingford, is X-rays.
Come in, Nurse Gale. Won't you have a seat?
Sorry I kept you waiting.
That's all right. Life must take priority, mustn't it?
You would agree with that?
Of course.
Always.
Even with an incurable disease?
When death would seem kinder, more merciful.
What are you saying? What do you want?
I want to know what really happened last night. No, don't turn away.
You heard John Anders at the party. You know he was distraught, suicidal. You left with him, got him home to his apartment.
And we know you were there. This. Your fingerprints told us that much.
Suppose you tell us the rest.
The truth, Nurse Gale.
Exactly the way it happened.
Oh, don't, please. Don't. It was the end, you see. The end of his life. Because surgery was his life, and those x-rays meant he could never operate again. But the danger, you see. Dizziness, a sudden blackout, the patient's life in his hands. Oh, John would have survived. Maybe a year, maybe even 2, but finished and useless, facing nothing but increasing pain. Well, how could I or anyone argue with that? He had everything ready. Insulin, syringe, even clean pajamas. Easy, he kept saying. So easy for a diabetic to pretend a fatal accident. Only his hand was shaking. And I knew if he missed the vein, he tried to do it before I could help him. So I took a syringe. And when I held his arm to do it for him, properly, you see, into the vein, he said how cool my hand was. Like ice, but gentle. Soft ice. Suddenly I couldn't lose him, not then. Some glucose, I thought, sugar, anything to stop the insulin. While I was in the kitchen, the phone started ringing, and I ran back. Only John was on the floor, and I knew. Beside him, the sweat in his eyes, it was... And all the time ringing and ringing and ringing.
Nice girl.
Yes, I did it. I'm not ashamed. It was criminal, I knew that. But it was John that mattered. His suffering.
Are these what you saw in his office? There is nothing in the x-rays or the report to indicate a brain tumor or secondaries in the bones. And as for the autopsy findings?
Diabetes, yes. But other than that, John Anders was a thoroughly healthy man.
Try and get some rest. I'm the nurse now. Orders.
How's she coming on?
She's a little calmer.
I'll make her some tea, will you? See, she drinks lots of it. Warm, hot, sweet. And you have some too, huh?
Are you going back to the hospital now?
No, I'm going to Scotland Yard first.
Oh, Adam, why?
Because I'm in a position of trust and I can't abuse it. I must go and tell them what's going on. I must check in at least.
The police? What crime?
Evie, this girl faces a charge of manslaughter, even murder. Go and get some tea into her.
John Anders.
John Anders.
Neurosurgeon from Porter's Green. The report's just come through from the coroner's office. It's, somewhere there.
Is that it?
Ah, yes, that's right. Yes, insulin poisoning, a diabetic, overdose while drunk. Ah, well, it seems straightforward enough. But obviously it isn't.
No.
You know more about it.
Yes.
Well, how about filling me in?
I can't. But it's rather intriguing. It's to do with some x-rays.
X-rays?
X-rays.
And you don't want to intrigue me?
Not yet.
Oh, look here, Strange. What is this? You come here to tell me you're not going to tell me anything, is that it?
I've come to tell you that I'm onto something and to ask you to stand by till I've got some more information. There's a young nurse involved. I think she'll be cooperative, but not with you right now. Not at this stage of the game.
Well, who is she? And what's she got to do with this doctor?
Yes, well, it's a very nice glass of sherry. I enjoyed it, thank you. And I'll come back, if I may, same time tomorrow, and we'll go on from there, right?
Strange.
Peggy Gale recognized this envelope as the same one she'd seen in Anders' office.
But not the report on those x-rays. They were different.
Well, that's what she says.
So you'll have to check up on her prints.
And his.
Anders, why? What do you hope to prove, Ham?
Well, to see if Anders handled his own x-rays, the real ones.
Yes, I survived many an operation performed by John Anders. I was his assistant for several years.
You didn't like him?
Not that he cared. All he wanted was efficiency and not love. And Anders' brain probe was like defusing an H-bomb, only more nerve-wracking.
But he got results.
He once threw a young anaesthetist clean out of the theatre just because he talked at the wrong moment.
Tell me, did you notice anything odd about him recently?
Well, he did seem a bit groggy a couple of times in the common room. Could have been dizziness.
Dizziness?
Strange.
No, thank you very much.
That American of yours, Gint, interfering with the autopsy, I hear, demanding brain tumor tests and so on.
We have to be thorough.
Thorough. And is that why the young fool came demanding my fingerprints?
If you've any complaints, I suggest you take it up with Inspector Franklin.
You've gone to Scotland Yard.
It's the normal procedure where a crime is involved.
Crime? A perfectly straightforward accident, as confirmed by the autopsy report.
Which tells us how he died, but not why. Marcy, may I come in?
Yeah, Adam.
Any result of those fingerprint tests?
John Anders never handled his own x-rays, neither did Peggy Gale.
Then someone substituted a false set showing the tumor and secondaries.
Which John and that girl saw and believed.
Apparently.
And then Mr. Whoever switched them back for these.
The genuine set showing the real state of his health.
But who?
And equally to the point, how?
Come on.
It's impossible. No one could get in there, not without my knowing. I'm in here all day, and then at night I lock up and leave the keys with the porter.
We checked him out. No one had the key out during the night.
Well, then.
Miss Collingford. It is Miss, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Someone somehow got into that room. Now, first of all, who could have had a key?
Well, there's the cleaner.
The cleaner.
Do you have the name?
No, I'm afraid I don't, but... Well, she must have a key, or how could she get in?
Excuse me.
And there's no one else who could have had a key. All right, then, let's try something else. Now, there must be times when you leave this room. You go out and have lunch or a cup of coffee.
Lunch I always lock up.
All right, then. Other times, then. There must be moments when these two doors are left open and somebody could slip in.
I suppose there are, but I can't think.
Well, I'd like you to try, Miss Collingford. Try very hard, will you?
Yes, of course.
Could you tell me where I'd find the radiologist?
It's on the 5th floor, down the corridor on the right.
Thank you.
Radiology.
Betty Collingford.
Yeah?
Adam Strange is on his way up.
I see.
About the ambulance.
Yeah. Thanks, Betty. Come in. Ah, Mr. Strange.
That's right, yes.
Roland Kane, radiologist.
Yes.
Betty Collingford phoned. That's a terrible thing about poor Anders. Terrible.
Yes, yes. I won't take a minute of your time, Mr. Kane. I just wanted to ask you a few questions about your routine here. Now, the radiologist sends you up the x-rays, and...
I examine them, make out my report, then rush them off to the relevant consultant.
Rush?
They're always in a rush here, even for a fractured toenail.
And how do you identify the x-rays?
By the patient's number printed indelibly there, you see, below the date.
Oh, I see. But no name?
Well, we usually scribble it on the envelope just to be sure, but the case number's the important reference.
And the chances of an envelope containing the wrong x-rays and report?
Impossible at this stage.
You sound very positive.
We're very careful. We have to be. You see, the x-rays and the report are clipped together. We check that the numbers in the corner correspond. Then they're put in an envelope, sealed and dispatched. No, Mr. Strange, if there was any tampering, it must have been after it left here.
Tampering?
Well, isn't that what you... Yeah?
Is Adam Strange there, please?
Yes, he is. Hold on, please.
Strange here.
It's me, Evelyn.
Hello, Evie.
Peggy's feeling better. Can you come round?
Yes, I'll be right back.
No more, thank you.
Well, there's plenty.
No.
Hello.
Hello, Evie. Feeling better?
Yes, thank you.
Good.
Try some tea.
No, thank you.
Mr. Strange, is there anything I can tell you that might possibly help?
Who? Just tell me, who could have wanted to persecute John Anders?
Persecute?
Someone had switched those x-rays quite deliberately and then switched them back again after he'd seen them.
Oh, no, it's impossible. Nobody... Not to John.
Not to John. John, who was so loved by everyone. Is that what you're saying? Oh, come on, Gale. Let's not pretend. This is no time for superficial politeness. You say you want to help. All right, then. What about his critics, his rivals? The anaesthetist that he kicked out? The theater staff? The secretaries?
Oh, stop!
Why? Isn't it true? Didn't he have enemies? Bitter enemies? Or was his outburst at the party last night just his way of saying thank you and goodbye?
It's a vile thing to say.
Is it? Not as vile as the way he was tricked with those x-rays.
Peggy, Adam's only trying to help you.
Trying to help. I told him the truth. Everything that's happened. He keeps looking for Cheap motives and petty hates to smear John's memory. Make a monster out of him. Isn't his death enough? Isn't it?
No. Not if someone planned that death. Someone who knew his weaknesses, his inner fears and doubts, the way his mind worked. No. Not then, Peggy.
Oh, sorry. Hey!
Nobody hated John Anders enough to want to kill him. Nobody was even that close to him. He wouldn't let them be.
But someone switched those x-rays, Peggy.
People make mistakes, Mr. Strange. It's happened before in any hospital you can name. This was a mistake. Human error. A mistake. Someone sent the wrong x-rays.
Sent? You mean the radiologist, Kane?
Hey, you! I didn't leave this hospital till past midnight. I told Mr. Gint that time and again.
And you still deny going to John Anders' flat last night?
Yes.
Shall I get Professor Marks up here? He saw him too, and so did Evelyn.
Just give me one reason why I should have gone there.
To retrieve the full set of x-rays, Mr. Kane.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You couldn't find them, you heard us arrive, then you got out. And in the morning, you went up to Anders' office.
So?
Expensive. Sending two boys to a school like Harrow, isn't it, Mr. Kane? Barely possible on a radiologist's pay, I'd have thought. How long you been doubling up at two hospitals? Two jobs, at it, all hours, rushing the work through. That's your own word, isn't it? Rush. Until finally it happened. A little silly mistake, but fatal. Mr. Kane, tell us. Tell us what happened.
I came in about 8 in the evening. There were several sets waiting for examination, piled up just like those. I started working through them. It wasn't until I reached the last set that I found his and a set underneath. I don't know how it had got there. I check always. But I'd taken his set down myself in the morning as a courtesy. Then there they were at the bottom of the pile. I sent him these instead. Didn't know whose they were, what they showed. Could have been anything. So as a precaution, I tried to phone him. Time and again, to warn him. No reply. And finally I went round there myself. The door was unlatched. I'd hardly got there. Seen him lying on the floor. And I heard you arrive.
So this morning?
Yes, this morning I went down to his office. Waited for Betty Collingford. We chatted. And at last he offered to get coffee and I was able to slip in.
Hide your mistake.
Hide the cause. Or try. Not the consequences. Never.
Are these the x-rays that were sent in error?
Yes, I checked the case number. Patient called Wilmot. Mrs. Joan Wilmot.
A woman?
Yeah. If only Anders had noticed. If only he'd just noticed.
How could he have noticed? These x-rays are obviously those of a man.
Sinister things, x-rays. No names, no faces, just numbers and verdicts.
Here we are. 584. Mrs. Wilmot, 10th of August, 1968.
These 584s have got no date on them, look.
Sometimes if the card's set too high...
Yeah? Or cut? Let's compare it with one of these. There, I see it's smaller.
It's been cut, the part with the date.
These serial numbers, does the hospital start a new lot of them each year?
Yes, it does.
So this could be number 584 of Last year.
You have last year's register?
It's in here.
Child with rickets. How about the year before?
There you are. A man.
With a brain tumor and secondary.
Well, that's it.
Oh, mystery man.
Where would I find the medical history of this patient, his case notes?
In records, the basement.
Why records? Why not one of the consultants?
Because, Mr. Strange, this patient's dead by now. Dead and buried.
Oh, well, we'd better dig him up, hadn't we?
Gone.
What?
X-rays, case history's a lot. Gone.
You mean...
Something sinister in the archives. No, Mr. Strange, they've probably been taken out by one of the consultants for reference. 584 for 2 years ago.
That's right.
Yes, here we are. Taken out yesterday morning. Mr. Anders.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Those x-rays were over 2 years old. Kane couldn't have possibly made a mistake. Someone must have deliberately switched them.
To make him think he was to blame.
Looks like that.
But who? Who'd ever do a thing like that?
Well, that's what we're going to work out, Peggy Gale, together and starting right now.
Miss Blake, what a pleasant surprise. Are you standing in for Miss Collingford?
No, Mr. Strange, he wasn't feeling too well. I'm just helping close up the office. Can I help you?
Yes, I'm sure you can. I'm just looking for a set of case notes. One of Mr. Horns's patients, deceased. Number 584 of 2 years back.
Deceased, you should try records.
I've tried them, and they tell me that Miss Collingford signed them out yesterday morning. Do you think we could have a little look in her desk?
Oh, no, Mr. Strange, she'll assign them for Mr. Anders. They'll be in his office, won't they?
Yes, but it's my guess she might just have forgotten them.
Oh, you're right. Here they are.
Yeah, it's 584, isn't it? In that case, then, what is this?
I think John had always been an insecure person. Isolated, father killed in the war, scholarship from a working class home.
That's why he was so ruthlessly efficient in the operating room.
That was his armor. His ruthlessness and his cynicism.
But, Peggy, you got through to him, didn't you?
Through? I was just obstinate, I suppose. Maybe I'm that sort... need that sort of love.
He obviously wasn't an easy man.
No, he wasn't. Well, you see, yesterday, when John first showed me the x-rays, well, of course I was horrified, but a part of me kept saying, no, it's not real. It's a test. Another test to try you.
You accepted this?
Well, yes, of course. Don't you see how vital it was for him to have somebody, one person he could trust?
And then later, in the flat?
All the time, I kept saying it to myself. No, it's not real. It's a pretense. In a minute it'll stop. John will laugh and hug me and award the Order of Trust for Fools and Angels. But he didn't laugh. No test. Not anymore. He just convulsed and went comatose. And his heart stopped.
1, a genuine Anders X-ray. Cranium frontal view, healthy.
One of the ones he should have seen had someone not switched them. Yes?
Correct. Now then. 2, cranium, frontal view, but showing a tumorous growth here in the parietal region and secondaries. One of the 2-year-old X-rays that Miss Collingford signed out of records yesterday morning.
Which she put in Anders' envelope to replace this one.
Correct. Well, at least we must now assume it was Miss Collingford.
But why? What motive could she have?
Well, the answer to that, Marxie, may lie here in number 3. Again, the frontal cranium, again, the tumorous growth here, and again, the secondaries.
Where did this one come from?
This came from Miss Collingford's desk, together with a full set of case notes and an autopsy report filed by you. Now, all these, Miss Collingford signed out of records 3 months ago.
Which she's kept in her desk ever since?
Presumably.
Right, well, who is this man, this mystery patient?
His name is Parsons. Bernard Parsons, there you are. Does he mean anything to you?
Parsons?
More important, what does he mean to Miss Collingford? What's that tie-up? Now, if we could find that, then we're on the way to solving the mystery of these X-rays.
Now, wait a minute. There was a Parsons.
About the X-rays, why did Anders have them taken?
He was frightened, you see. Symptoms were slight, but very real to a man like him.
To a neurosurgeon.
Symptoms of dizziness and depression.
And headaches, slight tremor in the hands. Nothing acute. But taken as an overall syndrome, enough to have an X-ray check.
And believe its verdict.
Yes.
Now, the guilt, the way he spoke at the party, the hypocrisy of the surgeons, the failure rate, could that have been a part of it?
I suppose so.
Oh, you talked like that before?
Yes, since the symptoms began about 3 months ago.
But not before that.
No. He was always cynical about his work, the fuss the press made of him. But this desperate condemnation, as if he despised the whole surgical profession.
This was new.
Yes.
So something could have happened about 3 months ago, something to do with his work, something to shake his confidence, induce the symptoms. What was it, Peggy? You have to remember.
You know, this is absurd.
Is it? Parsons was employed here in this hospital on the administrative side till he died last year.
I still can't divulge...
His widow, or so I'm told by Professor Marks, his widow was offered a job here in compensation.
And in confidence. Marks had no right
Miss
to tell...
Collingford came here last year. Miss Collingford is a widow.
How do you know?
I noticed her hand. A finger that's worn a wedding ring for 20-odd years never loses the imprint.
All right. Parsons had been here 20 years. First-rate maintenance engineer. Naturally, when he died, we checked up to see how she was placed. There was a pension, of course, but the bereaved need more than bread. She'd taken his death badly. Didn't seem to have any plans. Even so, when we offered her a secretarial post here, she declined. Said she could survive without charity, thank you. It was only when I suggested she came here anonymously under her maiden name, as it were, that she agreed. I think we can claim a successful rehabilitation.
No doubt, no doubt. Till she stumbled on the truth 3 months ago.
What truth?
That her husband died of a brain operation, which was at that time unique, untried, and highly dangerous. An operation performed by the late John Anders.
It was. It was 3 months ago. John was deeply upset about it.
What happened, Peggy?
He said this woman came to him. She began weeping and shouting at him. Well, she was off her head, he said, insane. She kept accusing him of murdering her husband.
Murdering, that's the word she used.
John had operated on the man, I think, and I don't know. I tried to get him to tell me about it, get it off his chest, but he wouldn't.
And it was 3 months ago.
This woman, do you have any idea who she was? Any idea at all?
From something John said, I don't remember what. It could have been someone at the hospital, one of the secretaries.
Collingford, Betty Collingford.
Must have been her. She must have hated him that much.
Are you all right?
Peggy? Come on.
You know, Franklin, I said I'd come back when I had some more information, and here I am, but I don't think I'm getting through to you.
You're getting through all right, Strange. Well, partially. The motive, revenge. That even I can understand. This Miss Collingford, the widowed...
Mrs. Parsons.
Mrs. Parsons, she blamed her husband's death on Anders.
Right.
Malicious persecution.
Right.
Now, this gaggle of X-rays. No, just explain Mrs. Wilmot's to me.
What? Forget Mrs. Wilmot.
Well, you brought her up in the first place,
All right,
didn't
but
you?
forget her. She's number 584, but it's another year altogether. Forget her.
So then, this is Anders' true X-ray. I've got that. And this, I think I've got this right, is... Oh, excuse me, Strange. Franklin here. Thank you, Sergeant. Miss Collingford, née Parsons, is not at home. Do you think she could still be at the hospital or something? Franklin. Hold on a moment, Gid, will you? He's right here.
Yes, Ham? Yes, I know. She's gone. The nurse is gone, too. All right, Ham, listen. Get over to that hospital as fast as you can. And we'll see you there.
Miss Blake.
Mr. Gint, how nice. Is Mr. Strange with
No,
you?
he's on his way. Have you seen Miss Collingford?
Oh, you're the second person who's been looking for her.
Who else?
Well, Peggy Gale asked me that no more than 5 minutes ago.
Do you know where they are?
No idea. As I say to Nurse Gale, hundreds of acres this hospital complex. I like to keep on top of things as part of my job there, but I'm not exactly a Geiger counter. You switched those X-rays. Leave me alone. Why? You're mad. John Anders, those X-rays, you switched them, and you're going to tell me why. I'm going to call the police. You don't have to. They're probably on their way. They know, Miss Collingford. Everybody knows now. Let go of me. This is ridiculous. It's impossible. Is it? Let go. I owe you nothing. Nothing. No explanations. Nothing. They'll make you tell. Tell what? That I love my husband? That I weep for him still? That all I wanted was to... Was what? Nothing. I killed no one. He was a doctor, wasn't he? He should have looked at them more carefully, those X-rays. Then he would have realized. I killed no one, Miss Gale. You wanted John dead. I wanted him to suffer. I wanted him to suffer the way my husband did. Because the operation on your husband failed? No. Why? Because my husband was a human being, not an animal, a guinea pig to be tested on. I didn't know at first, no. Not the truth. Oh, I knew. The tumour. It needed surgery. Mr. Anders operated, didn't he? It didn't work out, did it? You're Mr. Anders. When I first came here, after I got the job, I used to find myself saying, he tried his best, he tried. And then one day in the office, sorting out the case notes, I found that my husband was going to die anyway. Don't you see? No. Don't you see it was all experiment? It was a test. My husband was a human being with life still in him. I don't know how much longer we'd have had together. Months, weeks, a year. Mr. Anders had no right to experiment on him. Well, your husband must have agreed. Well, I never agreed. I would never have said yes. I loved my husband. Have you ever known love? I've known love, Miss Collingford. I loved John Anders, and I took his life because I loved him. I don't understand. You did what? I was your tool. I gave him that dose, that injection, because of what you did. I killed him for you. Miss Collingford! Miss Parsons! Get away, or I'll kill myself! Mrs. Parsons, please. No way! It's not the answer. Death is never the answer. No way! We haven't the right to throw away lives. Not other people's nor our own. Go away from here! Well, we both know that now, don't we? Haven't we at least learned that?
You all right?
Yes. Thank you.
Nurse Gale?
Oh, no.
You too, please.
Not her, not her. It was all my fault.
It's all right, really.
She has her whole life ahead of her.
It doesn't make any difference. I did something terrible, but I can't keep running away from my conscience, my guilt. Thank you, Mr. Strange.
I can't understand how anybody could...
Mad. Grief can send you mad. Poor woman.
Poor Peggy.
Poor Peggy. Come on, don't let it get you down.
Yeah.
Suspended sentence, that's all she'll get.
No more nursing, though, huh?
No.
What is she going to do?
She'll pull through. With help. Now, come on, we're not helping her any stuck up here on the roof. Come on, down we go.
Yeah, you're right.